Hello friends, today we will discuss some important topics of C# programming about loops. So here is the list. What are loops in C#, what is counter in loops, what is while loop, do while loop with examples, difference between while loop and do while loop. So let's begin. So first one we have loops in C#. So what is a loop? A loop in C# is a control structure that repeats a block of code as long as a specified condition is met. Loops helps reduce code repetition and automate repetitive tasks. In C# we have loops concept. It is like to iterate a specific code on some time until its condition is met properly, or we can repeat the blocks of code into that loops. We have while loop, do while loop. We will discuss these loops. Here is the flow diagram of loops. Like it starts the loop, first it checks the condition, and before that we initialize a value, then it checks that condition that is true or false. If it is true, then it executes the block, and then it repeat till the condition is true. When it false, it exits the loop. Next we have a counter in loops. A counter is a variable that is used to track the number of times a loop has executed. It usually increases or decreases with each iteration. A counter in a loop is like to track the number of times a loop is executed, like 1, 2, 3 times, how many times it is executing into that code of block until the condition is matching. Here we have the explanation of counter. First one, we have to initialize some specific value for the loop. It is the starting point of the loop. We have to set some value like integer I is equal to 1. It initializes the counter I to 1, means the loop starts from 1. Next one, we have to set the condition that how many times the loop will iterate. Like here we set I less than equal to 5. Loops run as long as I is less than or equal to 5. After that it will execute, it will exit the code. Next one, we have to like increment or decrement we can use. Here we are incremented the value. If we start from 1, then it increments to 2, 3, 4, 5 till 5. It will increment and check the condition. After that it will exit the loop. So I is a counter variable that controls how many times the loop will run and help access the current loop number. First loop we have while loop. The while loop runs a block of code repeatedly as long as a given condition is true. The condition is checked before each iteration. So this is the behavior of a while loop, that first it checks the condition. Here suppose we have the example here like integer I is equal to 1. So this is the counter variable. First we have to set the value like 1, 2, 3 like that, and second we have to set the condition in while loop. First in while loop it will check the condition that if it is true, then it will run this block of code, otherwise it exit this code. So this is the main thing in while loop. First it checks the condition, then runs the block of code. Here we have the iterating values, like it iterates 5 times, runs only if the condition is true initially. Let's check while loop. Here first we have to set the condition, some counter variables. Next we have to implement condition in while, like how many times it will iterate the loop. We can write any logic inside this loop. Next we have to increment this I value. So let's run this one. So it is giving us 5 values as it iterates 5 times, because it initially starts from 1 and till the end, like last value was 6. Before that it will iterate for 5 times. so it display this result. Suppose if we comment the increment inside the loop, then let's see what will be the result. Now this loop is still executing, and it goes to infinite loop. So it is infinite and it is still running, because it is not incrementing the value, it is just executing the same code again and again. So for this we have to iterate the value. Second loop, we have a do while loop. The do while loop executes the block at least once and then keeps repeating as long as the condition remains true. The condition is checked after each execution. In do while loop, it do not check the condition at first. It checks the condition after the code block runs once. Then after that it will check the condition. Means at least one time your do while loop will execute. Here we have the example, like we put some counter variables like integer g is equal to 1, then put do while loop. And here is the thing, it will not checking the condition first time. It will directly run this code block. After that it will check the condition. So at least once your code will run in, with the do while loop. Here we have the output of this. Always runs at least once even if the condition is false. So it means it runs your code at first or at least one time even if the condition is false. So this is the thing in do while loop. Let's see. While loop. First we have to initialize or set some value, then we can write the syntax of do. Here we can set some value or any logic we can write here. Here we have to write some condition, and we have to increment the value also, otherwise it will start infinite loop. Let's see the result of this one. So here is the thing, it iterates the same for 5 times, as we put some condition like I less than equal to 5. Suppose here if we put less than 1, it is not comparing the condition as it is false in starting, means I less than 1, but I is equal to 1. Here we put the initial value. Now let's see the result of this do while loop. At this stage it will initialize its code one time, at least one time. After that it will check the condition, like it checks this condition after executing this code of block. This is the behavior of do while loop, but this is not the thing in while loop, as we can also see here. Suppose here we put 1 like this. Now it is not printing anything, because here in the starting it will check the condition and this is false. So here it is not printing anything because it checks the condition at the starting time, but not in the case of do while. It will check the condition after the code runs at least once. Next we have, can we use a do loop without while? It is not possible to use do without while. In CSharp, do must always be followed by a while condition, otherwise it will cause a compilation error. Like here is the main syntax, standard syntax we are using like for do while loop. And suppose if we do not write any condition or do not use these while condition, then what it will give us. Suppose here we are commenting this one. Now it is giving us compile time error, like syntax error. So we have to write while condition. Without it we cannot use do loop. So this is the proper syntax of a do while loop. Next one we have difference between while and do while. So the main difference in while and do while loop is that in while loop it checks the condition at first. At initial time it will check the condition, but it do not check the condition on the do while loop. It check the condition at least once the code will run. After that it will check the condition. So you can get your output at least one time. Minimum execution may not run at all, runs at least once. It is the same thing. Use case when you want to check before execution, when you want to run code at least one time. Like if you want to check the condition before execution, then you can do it in while loop, but not in the case of do while loop, because in this at least one time your code will run. Needs only while, requires a do while. So this is the proper syntax. Without this while, if we directly use a do loop, then it will give us compile time error. So here is while loop. Like first we have to set the counter variable, initializer condition, then we have to set the while condition, and then increment things. Next we have a do while loop, where we have to set the condition and set the condition with while. So this is the syntax of do while. Here we have the flow chart of while and do while loop. So in while loop it checks the condition first, and then according to that, if it is true, then it will run the code block and repeat that code block till the condition is true, and if it is false, then it exit the loop. And do while loop, first it run the code block, after that it will check the condition, not before that. After that running the code block, if it will check the condition, then if it is true, then it will repeat the loop again. Here we have the summary. Let's revise what we learned today. First one, while loop runs a block of code repeatedly as long as the condition is true. The condition is checked before each iteration. While loop, we see that it runs the code repeatedly or iterate the values again and again till the condition is true, and if it is false, then it will exit the loop. So we have a do while loop. In do while loop, it at least run your code one time at the starting, and after that it will check the condition. If it is true, then it will iterate the loop, otherwise it will exit the loop. Can we use do without while? No, we cannot use do without while, as we already saw that it will give us compilation error if we do that. So this is the proper syntax. If we want to use the do loop, we have to put a while condition into that. Difference between while and do while. While loop may not run if the condition is false initially, but do while loop always runs at least once before checking the condition. So this is the behavior of while and do while. In while, it will check the condition in the starting, but not in the case of do while. It will iterate your code one time, and after that it will check the condition in do while. So these are the topics you can practice in your Visual Studio. Let's wind up today's session. If you have any doubt related with these topics, you can mention them in the comment section. Thanks. See you in the next video.